We're going to warm up with some basic drills to keep control and mount through a few concepts. Hey, the biggest battle here is between our knees and our partner's elbows for inside position. Hey, if our partner can keep inside position with the elbow, he's going to have a great chance of escaping through various means. Hey, and if I can keep both my knees inside, he's going to have a real tough time escaping through pretty much any mean. So, so the first drill, right, we're going to be doing two things. Right, one is notice that in order to go into one of his escapes, right, when he cuts to his side, right, in order to do pretty much all of his escapes here, he needs to crunch in, right? So in order to do that, he pushes my knee with his elbow, whether it's an inside or an outside elbow escape, he needs to crunch in regardless, like so, right? So one way that we can stop our partner from doing this, right, is through a crossface, right? So, and the point of a crossface is not just to make your partner uncomfortable. He's trying to contract, right? We're extending him, right? So that's the point of the crossface. Right, now we can use like a full crossface here, or you can use just your hand. The biggest thing is that you just have a wedge preventing your partner's head from coming in, right? Because then again, in order to crunch, his head has to come in. When he crunches, yeah, his head has to move in this direction, right? So if we have a wedge preventing him from doing that, and even moving him the opposite way that he needs, he's not going to be able to actually push on our knee through whether it's an inside elbow escape or an outside elbow escape, etc. All right, so for the first drill, right, our partner is going to go to the side. He's going to look to take inside elbow position, right? And we're just going to work on cross facing here. Again, you can use the full cross face, or you can just place your hand on the mat, right? And now you can just extend your arm, right? Just this extension moves his head away. And now if we can, we always try to steal inside position with the knee, right? You won't always be able to if he's really tight here, right? Like let's say that he has the inside position with his elbow. At minimum, I need to move my knee backwards to his hip, right? So that way he doesn't have inside position anymore, right? And if I can't get inside position myself, right, not the end of the world. But we at least cannot accept him having inside position with the elbow, right? So we move our knee backwards, right? We cross face him, right? And for the drill, we're going to try to slide the knee back up, right? Now he's just going to switch to the other side, right? Again, same thing. I play the cross face. I move my knee back into a safe position, tight to the hip, right? I move his head, and we try to steal inside position with the knee, right? Anytime you're cross facing, right, it's smart for your partner to switch to the other side where you're no longer cross facing. But again, it's pretty easy for you just to switch sides and cross face, and again, steal that inside position with the knee, right? Basic drill, 1, 2. We can combine both the cross facing with the elbow lifting, and we can combine the cross facing with some other methods as well. So on this drill, he's going to get to his side. Again, most of his escapes involve getting to his side. So from here, I can, in addition to just using a regular crossface, I can use a reverse crossface, right? Again, the concept here is just a wedge preventing his head from moving this way, right? So if he's trying to crunch in, I can come with my other arm. I can also do the same thing. The benefit of this is that it gives me a free hand on this side to work, right? So oftentimes we can come in and we can stab in an underhook here, right? And now once you have the underhook, we can come in and work from there, right? If I can't stab in the underhook, maybe he's like really on his side, and yeah. From here, oftentimes your partner, especially if their hands are unlocked, right, like in this kind of position, you'll be able to access the wrist, right? So we can also use this position to start pinning the wrist here, right? If we've pinned the wrist, again, now it's hard for him to push with his elbow because again, his arm's pretty stuck in place here, right? So we can use, again, a combination of that wrist pin and the reverse crossface. Makes it really tough for your partner to finish either of the escapes here, right? And also gives us a good chance to take inside position with the knee, right? For this drill, we're going to use this to get into an underhook. So when he gets to his side, right? Oftentimes we already have the wrists, right? Because maybe we're working into our ways to isolate the arms from up here, right? Such as our cross wrist pinning system, right? Where we come in and we're pinning the wrist like so. To do this, remember we use our opposite hand, palm up. Right? You're not going to be able to push the hand like this just with your same side arm because the angle. Like look where my arm is running through, right? Here, I'm working against my partner's strong pec muscles. Right? Even with two hands, it's very difficult to get this arm out and away, right? But if I use my opposite arm and I go palm up, right? Now look at this angle. Now I'm working more against my partner's weaker rotator cuff. So if he tries to be strong here, right? Even a strong person's rotator cuff is going to be a lot weaker, right, than your weight, right? So, so we come in. We can even use the elbow, this hand on the elbow, to push his elbow a little bit further away from his body, which makes him even weaker in that position, right? In. So if we were being proactive here, this is one way that we could get to this wrist pin that we work a lot. But yeah, we can also use it reactively, like I kind of started out with, right? So again, I can use that reverse crossface, and I can start pinning the wrist here, right? Once the wrist is pinned here, I can come in and switch to the crossface and make a pass off here. Now, when he goes to get this elbow tight to his body, right, it gives us plenty of space to take an underhook here, like so, right? Now, once we have the underhook, like always, our goal is to start ratcheting his arm up and gluing his bicep to his ear, right? So from here, my head moves away. We start spider walking our hand in arc. So his goal is to keep his elbow nice and tight. I move my head and I extend my arm, right? I move my head and I extend my arm, right? And we do this until we've glued our partner's bicep to his ear, right? From here, for this drill, we can just stop here. You can hold a few ways. You can lock your wrists here, right? Or if you can grab your partner's tricep and then your own elbow. This is also pretty good control here. Really hard for your partner to get out of this until we decide, what submission or attack we want to go into after that, right? So again, partner's getting onto his side, going into some sort of escape, using that reverse crossface and the wrist pin. Right? If you can't get the wrist pin, right, like because he's really tight, again, we can also come in and shoot that underhook like I mentioned, right? Sometimes you can also even come in just to an inside bicep tie and take your elbow to the mat here, right? And now, again, my elbow is in between his elbow and his body, so it's pretty easy to start pommeling in an underhook there as well, right? But however, we got the underhook, right? We'll say we went into this pass off, got into our underhook. Again, no matter how we got the underhook, our goal is always to get that arm up, isolated by his head, right? So again, I'm relatively elbow to elbow with him, and from here, again, it's not the spider walking that gets his arm up. He's nice and strong here, right? The hands aren't that strong. The power comes from the extension of your arm, right? And that, in order for that to happen, my head has to move across his body, right? So I extend, and my head moves away, right? I do not let my hand come off the mat for any period of time, because without the friction of the mat, he easily pulls me back down, right? So with the friction of the mat and the extension, and his goal as a NoGi is just to try to keep that elbow tight, right? We work up until we've glued his bicep to his ear, and now we're in a good position to go into our finishes. All right, questions? Give it a try. 1, 2. Also, keep in mind, right, a lot of times, if you're struggling to get the underhook here, one of the reasons is because your partner's really turning onto their side. They're using this other hand to strip your grip, right? Yeah, and they're making it hard to work from here through interference of this other arm. But keep in mind, the only way that he can really interfere with this other arm is by bringing his elbow across my center line, right? So this elbow comes across my center line. Now his back is always going to be exposed, right? So whenever we're working here, right, we're trying to go in and pin and get our underhook. If our partner's interfering here, right, then from here, use the weight of your chest to keep their elbow from slipping back across. We want to make sure that once their elbow comes across, right, they're pretty much locked into that decision they made. Right? We're using our chest, and we try to get our bicep behind our partner's elbow. Right? So now if he tries to bring that arm back across his body, the wedge of my bicep and my weight here makes it difficult for him. Right? This is the detail that really makes like the gift wrap work. Right? A lot of people, they just get this wrist and then they just try to hold this, and a lot of times their partner slips out. Right? Don't prioritize the grip on the wrist here. Prioritize your bicep behind your partner's arm and your weight, right? Without even his wrist here, if he tries to turn back towards me, it's going to be pretty tough, right? And now it's always going to be very easy for me to access the figure 4 on my partner's wrist here, right? Once I have the figure 4, from here, I can step my right foot up to his hip, slide my knee up to his head. The minimum requirement is his shoulder, Hey, but if you can slide your knee all the way up to his head, that's going to be ideal. And my shoelace is on the mat, tucked all the way to his back here. And from here, we can sit straight up, pulling him into our lap. And then don't sit to your back, sit across to your other hip, like so. Right? When you finish, you should have this back hook nice and high on his hip. Right? And now we can come into either body triangles or various methods of controlling the back. Right? So, so that's if you're having a hard time getting to that initial underhook. Right? Now we can also forcibly do this, even if he doesn't give us the back. Once we've gotten the underhook, or if we're working towards the underhook, he interferes with his other arm, right? And then when he feels us start to threaten the back, he slips that arm back. Again, we just go right back in to our underhook here, right? Either way, right? Once we've ratcheted the arm, again, do the same method we did earlier. We can still take the back from here, even though he didn't give it to us a step before, right? From here, my underhooking arm cups my partner's neck. So now I have a free hand again. So he tries to get his elbow back, and it's stuck in place by my arm here. Just make sure that your elbow is flared up towards his elbow. Because if you're down in his armpit, he will be able to bring his elbow down, right? So once you've got his arm up, and we cup the neck, and I keep my elbow flared up high. So again, test this. Make sure your partner can't just get their elbow nice and low again, right? From here, I can use my free hand to pull his wrist across his neck. Again, I use my weight here to make it hard for him to pull that elbow back across his body. Right. From here, I start to get that figure four. I can even here you'll need to use a little bit of finesse to kind of shift your weight further under him and start getting him to his side. Right. Because of the angle here, because he's more flat on this one, it's hard to get our bicep behind his elbow, right? Because again, it'll slip right here. So once we've pulled his wrist across, we take the elbow. And usually we'll be trying to get our chest behind and then get him onto his side so we can get our bicep behind. All right, but from here, it's the same finish. All right, pull him onto his side, slide my knee up to his head. And from here, again, I sit across to my other hip. All right. So one more time, both those options, a little bit faster. All right. So we're pinning. Option one, again, he starts to, he interferes here. So use your chest, right? If he still has your wrist, it's pretty easy to strip this grip because his arm can only go so far backwards because my chest is blocking it, right? So it's pretty easy to strip the grip and place my bicep behind his arm. From here, we slide up and we can chair sit to the back. Option two, he doesn't interfere with that other arm, so we just ratchet up the arm like we were going to. Right. I pass off, anchoring onto his neck, pull his wrist across, keep my chest behind his elbow, and from here we feed into that figure four. Our goal is to get him onto his side through our grip. Right, and he slides up, we pull him across to the other hip, and now we're on the back. Right, 1, 2. All right. Again, so we can keep working into those two ways to get to that figure four back head and arm. But however I got there, right, we can add one more option. So instead of taking his back here, what I can do is I can just allow his head to come out of the grip. Right, so now I just have a Kimura grip, and from here I sit my hip to my partner's hip. Right, so I just lean all my weight hip to hip. Now that takes weight off of this leg. Right. If I'm just square here, or if I was even leaning off to that way, there's a lot of weight on this knee, so it's hard to get this leg out. When I lean to my right hip here, now it allows me to start stepping over with my left foot, and now I can sit back into an armbar. Right. So again, work the setups as well, but again, for the finish, once I'm in position to take my partner's back, and I really want him on his side here. I don't do this if he's flat. I extend, and I roll him onto his side here with that grip. Again, now I just let his head come out of my arms, and I lean all my weight to my right hip. Right, step, step, step. Don't try to just sit back and then throw your leg over. Hey, because the moment you sit back, right, oftentimes your partner will just shoulder walk over your knee here. Yeah, right. And now you have weight on this leg. You're not going to be able to get the leg out. So make sure that in this position, you physically step over your partner's head first. Now I can pinch my knees and sit back, and we can go into all our grip breaks and finishes from there. All right, 1, 2.
Control, don't get hurt. You got a lot of time until points. Here you go. They say cooking first